Welcome to a video trip report from the Illinois River. We did a 4-day trip starting April 20th, 2025. The first day flow, the flow we have here is about 1250, and it dropped about 50 CFS per day. So on the fourth day, it was about 1100. This is a great flow. This is probably my favorite flow. It's very forgiving, really straightforward. As it gets higher and lower from here, I would say it probably gets harder. This is maybe the easiest flow. Some people would differ, but I think it's a really nice, pleasant flow. I'm just kind of highlighting the biggest rapids of the trip. This is the first set. This is called Panther Creek Rapids. I called all three of these Panther Creek Rapids. You'll pass Panther Creek on the right. That's a waterfall-y thing that comes down the right side. And then it's just 3 drops in a row. And these really remind me of the Tuolumne River for some reason. They're an easy version of Nemesis. It just kind of has that feel. So it kind of puts me on a Tuolumne River vibe. But this is a nice warm-up. These are nice, fun rapids. There's a rock at the top of the rapid here. This is what I would call the third of the Panther Creek Rapids, that section. You pass this house side boulder. I like to pass it on the right. You can pass it on both sides. And there's a little bit of a hole in the middle, a little bit of move you have to make to get back right. There's multiple ways to do this. I just like to pull pretty hard to the right and run the right side of this so I miss this weird hole thing. Pretty straightforward rapid. And the Kamloops Wilderness boundary is just downstream. So if you're floating down below this rapid, probably as far as the eye can see on the river, that's right where the Kamloops Wilderness starts. Here I just passed where Labrador Creek came in from the left. So this is Labrador Creek Rapid. Again, class 3, 3+. Nice little warm up for the trip. Nice, pretty fun rowing, pretty easy kayaking. Just a nice solid beginning. Nome Creek just came in from the left, so this is Nome Creek Rapid. I love this rapid. See how clear the water is at the top? It's just so beautiful right there. You just swing around this rock and it's pretty straightforward. After a beautiful waterfall on the right with Darlingtonia and Butterwort and just other cool plants, you run rapid number 17. This is just a nice, another class 3+ rapid, good warm up. Down as far as I can see is Rocky Top. And to me, Rocky Top is maybe the most dangerous rapid on the section. I've never seen anything dangerous happen, but from what I understand, the rock in the middle is dangerous to undercut, and it's pretty tough to avoid. There's There's a right line, a far right line, and then there's a far right line. And there's also a left line. There's a lot of lines to choose from. I try to stay as far from the rock as I can. I was originally intending the far right line, and right about here I changed my mind and just did the far right. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but there's a nice little sneak line here to the right. If the water's a bit higher, you can go further right. The left, you can see the left of that rock does go, but at this level I think is pretty nasty. So at this level, this is the far. You can see the far right to my right. If it's like 1500 or so, I like to go far right and be really safe, avoid the rock. As soon as I passed it, though, I saw that the far left was a no-go, and one of our guides was thinking about running it. So I'm just signaling, don't do that. Just take the right line. It was super smooth, super fun. All right, coming up next, this is Rock Garden North. This reminds me of Rock Garden on the Tuolumne. It's not as hard as Rock Garden on the Tuolumne, but just a lot of shallow rocks, a lot of little moves you got to make. Normally, at this level, I would take more of a center line in the entrance, but I'm anticipating lower levels the next few weeks. So I'm just testing the water on the low water line. The low water line, you go farther than you should feel comfortable. Like, you don't see this line from the top. I just know it's here. And this is where I'm going to run, where I'm going to enter when the water is up below like 800 in the 600s. This is the only way through Rock Garden North. The bottom section of Rock Garden North is pretty tricky. It's just hard. I think a lot of people struggling here. I like to be right to medium right, but you can see all these shallow rocks I'm going over. There's a very thin line here. Look at that. Rocks. I have to go over some rocks. Once you get past those initial rocks, it's pretty straightforward. If you started further left, you're going to have other problems, other rocks to run into. So it's just a very tight line. I like to fight those rocks at the top, and I feel like I'm pretty much done down the right side here. York Creek just entered from the right, so now we're entering York Creek Rapid. I think of just 3 distinct drops. This first one's a little technical, and this water kind of shoves you into this wall. So I come through here and I'm thinking, just pull off the wall. Just slow things down so I don't slam into the wall. Some people slam into the wall. That's part of rafting sometimes, but it's nice if you miss it. The second drop is kind of insane when you look at it. So I've done it enough to know just kind of get to the right, but there's some nasty holes there you're going to want to avoid and some weird water. And I just kind of, as you can see, like calmly pull my way to the right and then run through this part. This part is so fun and interesting. I wish I could photograph this. I've never pulled over to photograph this part. It's really beautiful right there. And then, again, you need to get back to the right. If you run the third drop center, there's a whole of different flows that can be pretty nasty. So I'm just kind of slowly working my way to the right. You can see I'm pretty far left right now, but I know if I just keep pulling, I'll build that momentum and avoid that hole. And I think you'll see it here in a second. Yeah, that hole right there can be pretty nasty. I wanted to eddy out right. The whole way down I was thinking, man, I want photos. So I eddied out here on the right so I could get up and take some photos. I think next time I'm going to try to pull up higher because this is a really beautiful rapid. The goat can be pretty tricky. I kind of slide down the right. There are some shallow rocks here that can mess you up, and there's one that could possibly pop a boat. But if you go more left, you kind of slam into the wall. And so it's a decision I make to kind of just slide down this right. But there's more water to the left. If you want to take that line, you just really got to pull off that wall that I just missed. You see that wall? Water's kind of piling up against it. It's pretty straightforward, but again, it can be challenging. The next rapid down is Clear Creek. So in my mind, I was pulling everybody over here to regroup, but then I became the problem. Anyway, got off, and Clear Creek is a tough one. I've seen more flips here, more problems here than any other rapid. There is a center-ish line I'm going to do here that takes you over like a 3 or 4 foot drop into a decent hole. But after all the problems I've seen on the rocks on the right, I'm happier to deal with the hole because I think it's easier to just line up for it and hit well than try to avoid the rock. So you have to kind of know where it is because there's holes here that can flip you at different flows. But right here, see the kayaker is by the rock. Right here, if you plow into this, it's straight, go through it, it's pretty straightforward. That rock on the right has flipped and wrapped gear boats. It's a problem and pretty tough to miss. So this is one where you really want to try to make the right move or just take that center line. We camped at Pine Flat and we're headed down to Dead Man's Bar. So we should have 2 rapids on our day 2. The flow was probably around 1200. This day it dropped a little bit. The first one's wall banger. It loves to throw you into this wall. And so you can see I'm kind of downstream ferrying, kind of pulling to get as far right as I can, momentum to the right. And you can see still barely missing it. So a lot of boats slam into the wall and I just do my best to avoid it. This is, one of the rapids on day 2. And if you go down to Klondike's just downstream from there. This next one's Time Warp. We scouted it. I like scouting this one. It's fun to scout. It's easy to scout. And it's always good to look at. And I actually changed my line based on my scout. That made me happy. This is one you forget about a lot because you're kind of in a lull. It's been class 2, 3 all day, and this thing pops up. And it can cause problems. I've been kind of going to the right the past few years. And maybe things changed a little bit. But from the scout, I decided to be more left. And it's actually my friend Jan pointed this line out to me when we were scouting. There's a nice seam right here you can take between these holes that worked out really well. I think that rocky on the right there, I think that changed or moved since last year because I don't remember it being so prominent. But really fun rapid, pretty straightforward, easy to scout, and I would say it's worth a scout. Now we're on day 3. There's a whole bunch of class 2 and 3 that we're always plowing through to make time. I wish I had more time to video them and scout them, but we didn't. And now we're at Fun Falls. We're in the hard rapid section. This is one of my favorite rapids of all time. This chute is so cool, and I will never forget the first time I came through here. This rapid's also called Prelude. Some people call the top of Greenwall Prelude, but technically this rapid is either called Prelude or Fun Falls. Fun little drop in a raft. It's pretty straightforward. In a kayak, it can back into you, but really fun. And now we're heading into Greenwall. This is the big rapid of the trip. This one's always worth scouting. And this year it changed a little bit. I think there were some distinct changes. Didn't make it harder or easier. It's just a little different. I'll try to point those things out. My big advice to people in Greenwall is get the first third of the rapid right. People tend to ignore this first third of the rapid in the scout. They don't think about it much. This is where I've personally seen the most problems happen. There's a wall on the right, people run into it and fall out or flip or almost flip. There's a hole you can go into that you might skip over that you don't see until you get there. Or people just pop an oar in here. So I take my time to scout this. I'm trying to be very calm here. If I get past this first third, I feel pretty relaxed the rest of the trip. So I went through some goalpost rocks right there. That's my line. If you go through them, it's pretty easy to get past the hole if you just track to the left. That's my experience with a heavy gear boat. A light gear boat might be different. And again, once I'm in this moment right now, I feel like I've gotten past most of the landmines. Now I'm just boating, doing my best. But if you are here in your boat and calm, you're in a really good spot. Again, I've seen so many people get here in a bad place. And right here, door 1 is to the right. I'm about to go through door 2. I think there's less water in door 2 than there was last year. I think something changed in here to cause more water to go through there. I'm not sure what. And that you used to go through this door and you go right into rocks, and those rocks are gone. So it's less water going through there, so a little bit harder. But once you go through it, there's less to miss. And you can see I'm just taking my time here. I'm kind of in an eddy. I'm not forcing myself out of here. I'm letting the water do its work. I'm making sure there's nobody behind me. If there's somebody behind me, I'd have to get out of here. But I'm not purposely staying there. But I'm also not purposely leaving. And then below here, again, once I'm past that move, you know, a lot can go wrong here still. But at least there's an easy swim afterwards. You're not swimming the whole rapid. I intended to be further right, but I ended up taking this like little left line over this drop. And I got a little piece of the hole more than I wanted to, and stayed in the boat. That was where pins and clips made a difference. Do you notice how I held on to my oars? My oars are my stability. That is 100% pins and clips helping me out, and also just using my oars purposefully for stability. If you throw your oars forward, let your oars go, you may not stay in the boat. And I really believe that. And I'm proud to have seen that video afterwards and be like, yeah, I held on to my oars, even though I get messed up a little bit. Next up is Little Green Wall. I call this one the Beast. This is my nemesis rapid. It's a lot of people's nemesis rapid. I've personally had the most problems here. You're on such a high after green wall. You're feeling super confident, and then you come here and get into trouble. And I'm pretty happy with my line. I flipped here last year in the bottom, so I'm extra focused, extra vigilant as I'm coming through here. And I flipped on that rock on the left that's out of frame now. I hit a little bit of it and it flipped me over, so I'm happy now that I'm running right to left. And you can see I'm getting very close to it. Oh, man, but you hit that rock and it's a flip. But if you get really close to it, you don't have to do much to avoid that rock. If you're further middle or right, you have a chance of hitting that rock in front of me and going down the right side, which we affectionately call the spank tunnel. The boat behind me did go through the spank tunnel, so I got my camera out, took a little video, and it was fun to watch. And made it through. And it's really nice to be past Little Green Wall. Green Wall's a big one. Like, it makes me nervous, but Little Green Wall is so unpredictable, and there's so many landmines in that one that I'm very happy to be past it. And the white water below here is just an absolute treat. I am so stoked every time I get to run this section. Here we are heading into rapid number 98. This one still needs a name. And I stopped there above in the 80 because I want to get some photos. I've never stopped to get photos there, and it's just such a beautiful spot. But rapid number 98 is pretty fun. There's a little bit of water in between here. This kind of reminds me of Gray's Grindstone on the Tuolumne, like a little bit. There's also a place in that Chetco that looks a lot like this. Of course, the Chetco is right, the river just south. Rapid number 99 is the end of that section. It's an interesting, fun rapid. There's just so many rapids like this below that are not even named. On other rivers, it'd be major rapids. So going down. The next rapid up is Sweeney Todd. This one can cause problems too if you're not careful. I like to downstream ferry. You can see I'm downstream ferrying the entrance. There's a rock I'm getting behind. Once I get behind that rock, I get some eddy water. It slows me down, it spins me. I don't have to go into that mess on the right. All that rock down there looks pretty nasty. At low water, like 600 CFS and lower, this is probably the hardest rapid. And honestly, I think deserves a scout at low water at a minimum. It is a brutal rapid at low water. This flow, pretty straightforward if you do it right, but it can, again, cause problems. Now we're headed into Rapid 103. This one's so cool. It's this tight little channel. You basically do the entrance and it takes you where you need to go. You notice I hit this rock a little bit. Watch this. I hit the rock. I ride up on it. Oh, That's exactly how I flipped that little green wall. Just a little bit of a rock under the tube in these wing boats. These wing boats are super stiff, so they're flippier. But for a second, I was a little worried there, but it came out fine. Next up is Holy Poly. There's a whole left side of the river here that I was looking at the lines. I think at these levels it doesn't open, and at low levels it doesn't open. So you take this funky right side that looks like you're gonna wrap or flip. It doesn't. There's always a second going into it where you're not sure, but it's always worked out for me and the boats I'm with. So I'm gonna keep taking that line. And yeah, this is just a fun rapid full of holes. Submarine hole is the last rapid on the section, the last significant rapid. And I really wanted to get photos, so I went last. I pulled over, and I'm really stoked on the photos, actually. Maybe I'll share them somewhere else. But I used to pull this line, and there's a way you can do this, like I'm doing. You kind of enter pointed to the left, and the boat, if it's heavy enough, just tracks exactly where you want it to go. You're gonna, if you try this, you might mess up a few times. It's gonna be fine. You're not gonna mess up too bad, but if you get it just right, it takes you exactly where you need to go. I was pretty stoked on this line, and it's taken me a lot of practice to kind of figure out the right amount of left angle to get over to the left. So that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have questions, put them in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer them. This is a wonderful river at all levels, but man, when it's this sunny and 1200 like this, it's hard to beat. So thanks for watching. See you in another episode.
Guys,